how long were you a statist? And by statist, I mean an individual who believes in the legitimacy of authority or government. Um, and how did you escape out of that? And if you have a different perspective on it, of course, you may share.
So I was born a writer. I've known what I was going to do from not like basically before I could read or write. I would slather my hand on a keyboard and I would print it out, and then I'd show it to my parents in order to have them point out words that I'd spelled by mistake. And so I intuitively understood from the very onset that words in the written language and my ability to communicate was paramount to my ability to accomplish anything on this earth or be heard and valued and respected as an individual. And we have this tendency to placate, marginalize, or disrespect children in subtle ways. Not that that's how we think of them, but we treat them more like children than we do really appreciate them as people. And so my desire or yearning for the acquisition of language was because I feel as if I have incarnated from probably being a kind of curmudgeonly old man. And so I'm like, all right, I've got all this stuff I'm trying to get these people to understand. And damn it, I got to learn all these words and art and stuff in order to be able to communicate it to them. So my felt intuitive sense was always that this is like a slave system, not using that word, but basically just that it's really broken and it's there to hurt people. And I always hated the compulsory school system. I was like the class clown, and it was something that was always very difficult for me. And so I went through the motions of trying to use creativity and humor as a coping mechanism in those environments, and also as a way to try and create my future. It's like, what is the thing that I'm going to do in the future that I already have this intuitive sense about? And so my emergence into the realm of what freedom is came as a consequence of the transition from Bush to Obama. And for people who don't understand what that time period looked like, it's like in the 9/11 truth movement, which I am a part of and have been for a long time, which is just trying to bring attention to the events of 9/11, looking at them with a critical lens. We were all very much of the impression that Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld and all of his various different associations, the neocon infrastructure, was chiefly responsible for the events of 9/11. The more in which you look into it, the more in which you understand that it's actually much more likely a 40-plus year plot in order to bring about a transition in geopolitics. And it's less to do with a particular orientation of political party and more to do with the machinations of the machine itself. So my transition from what could be regarded as statist, although I don't feel intuitively as if I ever really identified within the machine or accepted it for what it is, but rather had vestiges of hope, which is a part of the establishment. It baits you with heroes and with hope and all this kind of stuff in order to lure you to reinvest in it. But I had voted for Obama because as a 9/11 truther, you look at it and you're like, maybe this actually is the potential emergence of something that is hopeful and freedom oriented from within the establishment. And then after a few years of observing the nightmare shit show warlord that psychopath was, you eventually realize, oh, it's all just a game. That's all it is. And then you're able to go deeper into your realizations about how reality is constructed in these various different iterations and layers, almost like an onion, designed to keep you going around in circles inside of this constrained philosophical mantra, which is that a parasitic and predatory environment is necessary in order to stay the tides of anarchy. When everyone who understands the actual etymology of anarchy understands that what they're really doing is they're stopping freedom from happening. And they're telling you that they need to do that in order to sustain chaos. And it's all this sordid, mixed up, backwards kind of thing. And those who have studied it understand that it's like that for a reason. But those of us who are learning about it, it's like you almost have to question your own reasoning so many times that you feel like you're going crazy until you can escape the machine. And so that was my whole trajectory, from incarnating with a particular perspective on my felt sense of purpose to then going through the ropes of realizing how mixed up it all is, to eventually emerging in the contemporary in the form of trying to take all that I've learned and then to offer it to other people with the hopes that they themselves don't have to spend as much of their lives or their energy investing in the same basic processes that so many of us in the truth movement have had to go through or be backhanded by in order to come back and present you with something that doesn't hurt so much. Because that's what it is. You know, we're all here sort of sacrificing in our own ways to hopefully make it a little bit easier for the next generation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my whole experience of the thing.